Welcome to the Space Jam.
I'm going old school on his butt.
Whoa. Space Jam: A New Legacy was directed by Malcolm D. Lee and stars LeBron James, Don Cheadle, and the whole Looney Tunes cast. And in this film, LeBron James has to save his son from an evil AI robot that's taken him, but the only way that he can do that is by gathering the Looney Tunes and competing against Don Cheadle and the Goon squad in a game of basketball. Hijinks ensue, cartoon stuff happens, basketball stuff happens. You kind of know what to expect from this, and it was something. I think I gotta get this out of the way first. I don't like the first Space Jam. I had no nostalgia for it. I maybe saw it like 2 times as a kid, and when I rewatched it, I just did not think it was a good film. This doesn't have anything to do with like Michael Jordan in the film. I thought that he was doing a fine job for like, you know, being an athlete and acting against nothing. But as a whole, just the writing and the direction of it was just not good, not there. It had the barest possible plot that needed to happen to make the entire film work. There was really no character development besides just play basketball, Michael Jordan. Like, that was his entire motivation for the film. And there was also really no stakes at all. And so just by the end, I really did not care. And it's only an hour and a half. Felt really long to me. So going into this movie, I did not have a whole lot of expectations. Malcolm D. Lee, he's directed films like Girls Trip. I like that. I thought that was pretty funny. Ryan Coogler is a producer on it, and Ryan Coogler is just fantastic. LeBron James, I thought that he was pretty funny in Trainwreck, so I was curious to see what he would be like as the lead of a film. And it seemed like that the Looney Tunes were going to be a lot better in this than they were in the first one, because they seemed to get the spirit of it, right? Where the first one just didn't seem to understand it. I don't really know how to explain it. And also the effects from the trailers, they looked pretty good. Like, they put in a lot of time and effort into this. And did it work? That's the ultimate question. Did Space Jam: A New Legacy work? Yes and no. I think if there's anything that this film definitely does better than the first movie is like the actual stuff needed to make a decent movie. So it's got like a plot that has stakes and there's characters and they actually have some kind of arc that they're going on. But at the same time, while this stuff is there, it's there at kind of the barest minimum possible to make it happen, but it's still there nonetheless. Now, I know I said the kind of same thing about the plot, but at least here, not only is there stakes, but there's an actual story happening throughout the whole thing. It just kind of seemed like in the first one, it was just kind of things were happening, and that was kind of it. But here, there's an actual story from beginning to end. The film kind of starts out with LeBron just not being able to understand his son. LeBron wants him to play basketball, but his son wants to do stuff with video games, and just the two can't seem to connect because they're both from different generations. Yes, it's that kind of story, and yes, you're going to be able to see where it's going, but again, that's more character development than Michael Jordan had in the first film, and the entire thing. So, like, at least props on that. And then as the story progresses, we get to see, like, you know, LeBron trying to struggle with what exactly does it mean to not only have fun during basketball, but to understand his son. So again, there is a plot and there is a story happening and characters are growing and they are learning stuff. But again, it's kind of at the barest possible minimum, and it's fine. It's nothing amazing. It is nothing spectacular. This is not Citizen Kane or anything like that, but it's not trying to be. It's trying to get from one point to another so that way we can get to the basketball game. And I'll talk about the basketball game, but that is kind of the biggest problem with this movie. The first half. Oh boy, the first half is a lot to get through. So that plot that I was talking about, that was very bare minimum. Yeah, for the first half, it's not a whole lot to carry it, and the humor, or I don't know if it's a lack of humor, but just humor that's not that great does not help either. A lot of the jokes in the first half especially, they really don't work. The physical comedy, especially when the Looney Tunes are introduced, it's fine, again, but it's not like, you know, Looney Tunes at like their peak. And then LeBron is obviously trying his hardest, but I don't know if it's just like, if it was the direction or just like the line reads, but some of the jokes just kind of felt off. And there's also like more like logical world stuff that's interesting, to say the least. We see that in the serververse, as this is called, where like all the different like Warner Brothers characters and stuff are, like there's a world for Harry Potter, there's a world for Game of Thrones, there's a world for that kind of stuff. But as we see LeBron and Bugs go to recruit the Looney Tunes, they go to Mad Max Fury Road, the movie. They go to the Matrix, and they also go to Casablanca. why Casablanca? Like, out of all the Warner Brothers films, why that one? Why not something like The Wizard of Oz or Scooby-Doo? Like, there's so many better, more obvious choices that kids would understand than Casablanca. Like, I don't know who that was there for. I guess cinephiles, but I don't really know how many cinephiles are going to see Space Jam 2 expecting a Casablanca reference. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. What was that? But as the film progresses and we get to the basketball game is actually, it's pretty lengthy. Like, I would say it's about almost the second half of the movie. Like, it is a good chunk of it, and my god, do they bring their A game for it. Not only are the effects fantastic, but the stakes, like, really get heightened, and it's actually fun and funny. Like, this seemed like to be, like, what the filmmakers wanted to make this entire part. Like, they just brought their A game for it, and it made sitting through the first half, honestly, it made it worth it. Like, that entire time, I wanted to see where it was going. I loved the variations of the Goon Squad. I thought that them having, like, actual, like, variations in terms of powers and stuff, rather than in the first one with the Monstars, how they were just all big and strong. Here, you got someone that's like a spider, you got one that's a snake, you got one that's both fire and water. Like, there's someone that can manipulate time. Like, this is creative. This is fun. And especially when the Looney Tunes, like, actually get to be the Looney Tunes. My god, it is so much fun. And, like, LeBron's having a great time. Don Cheadle, he is just giving his it all for this role. It's legitimately fun. Like, if there's any reason I would say to see this movie, it is that basketball game. In the first movie, I guess I could maybe make the same argument, maybe, but again, in that, like, the effects aren't that good, the jokes really aren't landing that much, and there's really no stakes. But again, all three of those things, they're here in this, and it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. There's also a great cameo in this. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but that was probably my favorite joke in the movie. That was fantastic. Lil Rel is there as a sports commentator. It's great. There's so many, like, references to, like, so many different Warner Brothers characters in the background. Like, you have the Mask in there. You have Penguin from Batman Returns. Like, there's just so many, and, like, so many. I'm just like, again, this is a kids movie, right? Why are we referencing them here? It's weird to say the least, but, like, Warner Brothers just like, put everyone in this movie. We don't care. And, like, to me, someone that's seen a lot of movies, it was fun to, like, see them in the background and stuff like that. But to kids, they're just gonna be like, "Mommy, who's that? Who's that?" Like, I don't know. It's not a big gripe or anything like that. It's just a weird choice, but it helps the film, like, build it out, I guess. I don't know. I think when you get down to it about, like, the movie itself and, like, what to kind of expect, this is a movie with a very basic idea, and it just kind of needs to get itself to the basketball game itself. Like, that's where it's been leading up to the whole time. But to do that, you need to have some kind of semblance of a story, a narrative with characters that have to go through some kind of arc or something like that. And I think maybe with better writers, that they could have, like, you know, kind of gone like the Lego movie kind of route, where that movie didn't really need to go as hard as it did with everything, but it did, and it was amazing. So I think if they kind of took that approach to this, I think it could have been something, like, really special. And I think that if also the Looney Tunes themselves were an actual more main character, because that was also a problem with the first. They weren't that strong of a presence in both movies. And this one also, like, they felt very sidelined to give the main basketball player. First one was Michael, this one's LeBron. And I feel like that if they worked a lot more in tandem with one another and, like, actually, like, let them be co-leads, kind of like how they were with Looney Tunes Back in Action with Brendan Fraser, I think it would have been a lot stronger and actually give more to, like, the other Looney Tunes, not just, like, Bugs and Daffy. I think that it could have made it stand out a lot more. But again, you kind of got to pick and choose exactly what you want to do. So I think just sidelining the Looney Tunes more, again, in both films, kind of is a detriment to it, but by the basketball game, like, it all kind of evens out. So it's just kind of like, what exactly do you want to see? For me, I was not expecting much from this movie, and for the first half, I got kind of like, you know, what I was expecting, which wasn't much, but my god, when they get to that basketball game, it's so much fun. Like, I was not expecting it to be as much fun as it was, but again, like, the Looney Tunes, when they just go all chaos, the variety and the Goon Squad, like, just the stakes of it all, like, the effects, like, it all worked. It just works. Would I recommend you see this movie? I'd say maybe. Would I say see it in theaters? If you have kids or if you have younger siblings and they're really hyped for it, then I would probably say yes. If you're more on the fence about it and you're not really sure, then I would say probably just watch it on HBO Max. This is more kind of like an up to you decision. Like I said in my update video, I'm not really going to give grades on movies anymore. It's just going to be like, should you see it, should you not see it? And I think in this case, I would leave it more up to you and what you want to see. I think that once you get to the basketball game, it is a lot of fun, but that first half is where pretty much all the problems of the movie lie. So it's just kind of like pick and choose your battle of like, do you want to sit through that to get to the basketball game, or do you just not want to endure it at all? Do I think it's a bad movie? I don't really know, because I think just like thinking back on how much fun I had, especially in the second half of the movie, I think it kind of evens out, like, you know, just like how much the first half just like dragged on and just like how basic it was. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad movie, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good movie. But did I have legitimate fun though? Yes, I did. Should you see it or should you not see it? Depends. It all depends on you and what you want to do. Just kind of take what I've said and just use your best judgment. I think it has some good things. I think it has some bad things. It's a very mixed bag on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of up to you. Do you want to see it in theaters? Do you want to see it on HBO Max? Who knows? So that was my review of Space Jam: A New Legacy. Have you seen the movie? What did you think about it? Did you think that basketball game was awesome? Did you think that cameo was fantastic? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Check out the Geek Speak podcast that I started with my best friend. Check that out. Link in the description below. A bunch of other stuff. And I will see you all next time.